If you followed the Kansas City Chiefs for a while, especially around draft season, you already know one thing about our GM Brett Veach. He doesn't sit still. This guy is always looking for his next move, and more often than not, that means trading up in the draft to go get his guy. Whether it's a speedy receiver, a pass rusher with potential, or that perfect piece for our secondary, Veach has made a name for himself by being bold. And look, let's be honest, it's worked. The Chiefs aren't just contenders year after year because of Patrick Mahomes. The front office plays a huge part in keeping this roster sharp, and Veach's aggressiveness has been key. Just look at the recent drafts. He's not afraid to spend capital to move up the board. He finds players that fit exactly what the Chiefs need and makes sure they end up in red and gold. But here's the thing. That kind of strategy isn't without its cost. Trading up means giving away picks. Fewer chances to find hidden gems in the mid to late rounds. And as the roster evolves, especially with big contracts like Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Travis Kelce, you start needing more cost-controlled talent to keep depth strong. That's where things get interesting for 2025. So now, we're hearing Veach openly talk about something we're not used to, the idea of trading down in the draft. Yeah, you heard that right. The same GM who's known for climbing the board is hinting that maybe, just maybe, the time has come to do the opposite. And that raises the big question I want to ask you. Would you rather see the Chiefs continue being aggressive and trading up for top-tier talent? Or should we start thinking long-term and stack more draft picks for depth? Let's kick this video off with a poll. Go to the comments and vote. A. Stay aggressive, trade up. B. Play smart, trade down and collect picks. I'll be reading through all the answers, so let me know where you stand. And hey, if you're enjoying this kind of deep dive content about our Chiefs, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We're pushing hard to hit 4,000 subscribers, and every click helps us reach more Chiefs fans like you. Now let's keep this going, because in the next part, I'll break down exactly what changed and why Veach might finally be ready to flip the script on draft day. All right? So here's where things start to shift. For years, trading down just didn't seem to be part of Brett Veach's vocabulary. It's not that he was against it. It just never really happened. And when he spoke to the media recently, he gave us a little peek behind the curtain about why that is. He said something that really stuck with me. I don't think it's as common as people think. He was talking about those trade-down calls that people always assume happen, especially on day one of the draft. The reality? For the Chiefs, those calls just haven't been coming in, and it makes sense. When you're consistently picking at the bottom of the round, like we are, you're not exactly in a high-demand spot on the board. But this year, things might be different. Veach said he's not only prepared for trade calls, he's open to the idea. That's a shift in tone, and it's a big deal. He even mentioned that in the past 4 or 5 years, he doesn't remember getting many serious calls about trading down, especially on the first night. But now he's thinking ahead. If the board falls a certain way, and if a team is motivated enough, Kansas City could move back, grab extra picks, and still land a player with the same kind of value we'd get at pick 31. Think about it. We've seen how valuable depth is. Just last season, it was the young mid-round picks that stepped up in big moments. Trading down could mean adding 2 or 3 more of those guys. The kind of players who come in, learn from the vets, and then take over in key roles. Now I want to throw this to you. If you were in Veach's shoes and a team offered to trade up to 31, what kind of deal would make you say yes? Would it take a second and a fourth, a future pick? Drop your trade scenario down in the comments. I want to see who's thinking like a GM out there. Also, drop a like if you enjoy this kind of breakdown. It lets me know I should keep bringing you these behind-the-scenes looks at the front office's strategy. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about one huge factor that could totally change the draft night dynamic: quarterbacks. You'll see why QB-hungry teams could be the real key to whether the Chiefs move that pick or not. Now let's talk about the real wild card in this whole conversation: quarterbacks. We know how it goes every year. There are always a few teams out there desperate to land their next franchise QB. Sometimes it's a rebuilding team looking for a fresh start. Other times, it's a front office trying to save their jobs with a bold move. Either way, quarterbacks drive the market. And here's where it gets really interesting for us as Chiefs fans. Brett Veach himself pointed out that this could be the kind of year where teams are extra aggressive in trying to trade up late in the first round. Why? Because of something called the fifth-year option. Let me break it down real quick. When a team drafts a player in the first round, they automatically get a fifth year of contract control. That's one more year at a manageable salary before a big extension kicks in. For a quarterback, that extra year is massive. It gives teams more time to evaluate, more flexibility with the cap, and more leverage in contract negotiations. So what happens if a QB or two starts to slide on draft night? That's when the phones start ringing. A team sitting early in the second round might panic and want to jump into the back end of the first, right around pick 31, where Kansas City just happens to be waiting. This could play right into Veach's hands. He wouldn't be trading down just to do it. He'd be in the driver's seat, taking advantage of someone else's urgency. And if the Chiefs can move back just a few spots, still land a high-caliber player, and pick up an extra day 2 selection in the process, that's just smart business. So now I'm turning it over to you again. Do you think this is the year we see a team jump up to 31 for a QB? And if so, who do you think it'll be? Maybe the Vikings? Maybe a surprise team like the Seahawks or Raiders? Drop your predictions in the comments. I'll be highlighting the best ones in a future video. And hey, if you haven't joined the Total Chiefs community yet, now's the time. We're pushing for 4,000 subscribers, and if you're a fan who lives and breathes this team, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's ride through the draft together. Coming up next, we're going to look closely at that 31st pick itself. What's its real value, and is it worth holding on to? Let's break it down. So here we are at the big question. What's the real value of pick 31? We've been used to seeing the Chiefs trade up in the first round, but now that Veach is considering trading down, it's important to take a closer look at what we actually stand to gain or lose by keeping the pick. Let's start with the obvious. Pick 31 is still in the first round, which means it's a pretty solid spot to find a high-caliber player. But here's the twist. At the back end of the round, the talent pool isn't always as deep as it is at the top of the draft. Teams are often looking at a small drop-off in quality between pick 31 and the early second round. And that's where trading down can become appealing. Imagine this. The Chiefs move back just a few spots, maybe into the early 40s, and pick up an extra mid-round pick or two. With those extra selections, Veach could add more depth to a roster that's already incredibly talented, but could always use more fresh legs. Depth was huge last year, right? Injuries hit, and guys who were drafted in later rounds or signed as undrafted free agents had to step up. That's what helped the Chiefs make their run to another Super Bowl. Now let's talk about the roster situation. With big contracts coming down the line, like those for Mahomes, Jones, and others, having more draft picks gives the Chiefs a chance to continue building a deep, sustainable roster without breaking the bank on free agents. We all know that a good team isn't just built with stars. You need contributors at every level, especially those guys who can come in and make an impact early, like we saw with some of the rookies last season. So here's the question for you. If you were Veach, would you keep the pick and go for a player who could come in and start right away? Or would you trade down, get more picks, and keep building that depth for the long-term success of the team? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do? And if you're enjoying this breakdown, be sure to hit that thumbs up to let me know I'm on the right track. Up next, let's zoom out and think about the bigger picture. What does this potential change in strategy mean for the future of the Chiefs? Should we be excited about it, or is it a risky gamble? Let's get into it. As we wrap up, let's zoom out and look at what this shift in Veach's thinking could mean for the Chiefs' future. The potential for trading down in the draft represents a shift in how the front office is approaching team building. Traditionally, we've been a team that goes all in, taking aggressive moves to ensure we're always in contention. But now, there's a chance that Veach could take a more balanced, calculated approach, one that leans into building depth and securing long-term success. On one hand, I totally get why some fans might be skeptical about moving away from the aggressive strategy. After all, it's worked so far, right? We've got Patrick Mahomes, we've been to multiple Super Bowls, and we've seen some key players brought in through these aggressive draft moves. It's a winning formula. But here's the thing. As much as we all love the spotlight moves, it's the under-the-radar depth-building picks that help sustain success in the NFL over time. Look at teams like the Patriots in their prime. They were always smart about accumulating picks and finding value in the later rounds. Depth wins championships, and that's exactly what Veach might be thinking with this potential trade-down strategy. The reality is, the NFL is a league of constant evolution. The Chiefs can't just rely on their stars forever. As the team grows, the front office has to look at sustainable ways to remain competitive. Moving back in the draft and stacking picks could set the team up for the long term in a way that even the most aggressive moves can't. But of course, there's always risk. By trading down, you lose a little bit of that instant impact that a first-round pick can provide. So the question for Veach is, can he balance that risk with the reward of having a more well-rounded, deep roster? I want to hear from you. Do you trust that Veach is making the right call here? Or do you prefer the aggressive approach that has gotten us to where we are now? Let's talk about it in the comments. This is your chance to make your voice heard. And if you've made it this far and you want to stay up to date on everything Chiefs related, don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications. We're pushing hard to hit 4,000 subscribers, and I'd love for you to be a part of that milestone. We've got more draft content, team analysis, and all the inside info coming your way, so you don't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Chiefs!